Welcome in, everybody, to the Landry Football Podcast Network. This is Pac-12 football and beyond as we break down the games of the weekend. Oh, what a big one. Utah at UCLA. Can the Bruins, for the second week in a row, get it done in the Rose Bowl? Big win last week against Washington. Played very well. Can they do it again? Washington's going against Arizona State and kind of the hapless Sun Devils. Washington, can they rebound, or will they have leftover effects from that beatdown at the hands of UCLA? Washington State at USC, I think the best matchup, along with Utah and in UCLA, maybe two of the best matchups in the country, definitely the two best in this league. Oregon at Arizona, not much of a matchup. Arizona, not very good. Oregon State at Stanford. Can Stanford rise up, get anything done in this game? So we're going to take you through each of these matchups and tell you what we think and kind of focus on the keys and what the film room says about each of the teams. Hey, if you want detailed film room analysis, head on over to LandryFootball.com. We got it for you there. We take you inside the film room, break down the games, the teams, the players, the coaches, the schemes to give you an advantage on how you see these games. You can think like a coach and a scout, at least have the information that can impress your friends. So check out LandryFootball.com. Take advantage of the football season sale. We break down all the college game, all the pro game, the NFL. So check it out at LandryFootball.com. Take advantage of that football season sale. It's the best one we got going. You can get access to your own coaching and scouting department for less than a magazine subscription. Also, again, subscribe, like, and share if you would. Pac-12 football and beyond. Landry Football Podcast Network, and Off the Hook Sports YouTube channel. So, Utah, UCLA, Washington brought a strong defense to Los Angeles, and it didn't do enough to attack this UCLA game, allowing close to 500 yards in a 40-32 win. Utah's a little different looking here. Utah brings a lot more toughness and production than anything UCLA has seen thus far, including last week. It's leading the Pac-12 in total defense. It's second in the nation against the pass. It gives up 111 rushing yards or more. For those of you that are kind of looking back at Utah against Florida and you think that's what you're seeing, it's not what you're seeing. No team anywhere stays the same. You either get better or you get worse. Utah almost always gets better, even when they have injuries because they're so well coached. Combined with that toughness and the offensive line and the consistency of Cam Rising, one bad throw against Florida aside, and this team travels very well. I don't think playing in the Rose Bowl is going to be that big of an issue for them, although Rice Eccles is certainly a better fit for them. This team travels well. Takeaways have been a huge part of UCLA's 5-0 start. They've come up with 11 thus far against 2 against Washington, but Utah's only given it up 4 times, and they haven't suffered multiple turnovers in any one game. This looks like a UCLA team that is tough. They can run the football. DTR is outstanding running it. He creates an extra gap in the run game. It's going to test Utah's defensive front more than they've been tested. I think this is the best offense that Utah's seen all year long. But it's an offensive line that UCLA has that's really good. They lead the nation in fewest tackles for loss per game. Zach Charbonnet is an outstanding runner at the running back position. And quite frankly, they run the football better than Utah runs it right now. The Utes are better defensively than UCLA. Anthony Richardson in Florida ran the football well. That was early in the year. San Diego State and Oregon State were able to run the football decently as well. UCLA is balanced. They're fast, and they show they can get a little nasty when they need to. On the other side, the defense has done its part for the most part. South Alabama is the only team to hit the 100-yard rushing mark, but they have not played a good team except for last week in Washington. It's going to be an interesting matchup. The history says that Utah doesn't win away from Salt Lake City against good teams. Assuming Florida will finish strong, and I don't think they're very good, but, they've gone 2-8 in the last 10 games away from home against teams that finish with a winning record. This team's style works anywhere, but it seems to have problem closing out games. Do you trust UCLA to come with another game plan against a really good team 2 weeks in a row. We've not seen the consistency. We saw UCLA, and I said it last week right here. Washington just looks like the better team than UCLA because they did going into the game last week. UCLA looked really sloppy against South Alabama, against Bowling Green. It didn't look like it, but boy, they showed up. Will they show up again? Utah's playing better overall. I think this game could be a little lower scoring. Can UCLA come up with 2 of those games in a row? If they can, they'll win it at home. If not, Utah will make them play. What do I think? I have a pick for you over at LandryFootball.com. More details, so check it out. Washington's at Arizona State. The Huskies are bouncing back after that loss against UCLA. They played maybe better than you think. The 40-32 loss doesn't really indicate, though, the style of the game. The passing game hit 300 yards for the 5th straight game. It got interesting late. Look, this game is, and this is where I think there's some good teams in the Pac-12, but there's some bad teams. And Arizona State's right now a bad team. They don't have enough explosion to get the passing attack going. There's no pressure, whatever coming from the Sun Devil defensive front. The offensive line is a nightmare in pass protection. Don't think Emory Jones and Xavier Holiday can get it going enough to challenge. This is going to be about Washington's focus after the UCLA game. You can run the football in Washington. Can Arizona State run it well enough? I mean, Jones is a dangerous running quarterback. Valladay's a strong back. He was really good with Wyoming and he was able to get free. So, look, Arizona State didn't play UCLA poorly. They hung around for a while. This is about Washington. Traveling on the road, coming off a game in which maybe they thought they were going to handle UCLA. Can you let UCLA beat you twice? You can. You shouldn't. Arizona State is yet to beat an FBS team. Okay? I don't think they're going to get it done here. I would expect, and this is going with the better team here simply, expect Washington to win and win going away. An intriguing game. Maybe as intriguing as UCLA Utah, or slightly below. But in the Coliseum, Washington State comes to town against USC. The Cougars have the makeup to cause some problems for Washington State. We saw USC struggle against an Oregon State team that made mistakes, and they were able to capitalize on it. We saw, as I mentioned, a bad Arizona State team kind of hang around USC. Trojans are struggling on defense, but they come up with enough plays at the right time to win games. But Washington State has been able to push past some mistakes that they've made. Just 2 turnovers and not real a lot of mistakes, but I thought critical turnovers that maybe cost them against Oregon. The pass rush is one of the best in the nation. You got to pressure Caleb Williams, and you can't let the downfield passing game develop. I think they can play well enough defensively to cause some problems. Can it handle itself in a tough situation? It came through late against Wisconsin. This is Wisconsin. This is USC, not Wisconsin. It rallied to give Oregon some problems. I think that in the Palouse, I think they can play a multitude of ways. USC, I expect, going to play better than they played against Oregon State. Oregon State could have won that game. Maybe should have. I think USC is going to play better. The 4 takeaways from the D help. Stanford was able to move the football with some balance, but USC took the ball away 5 times. Washington State has been able to get away with multiple turnovers in all 5 games. It can't turn the ball over here, or else this is going to be a UCLA-USC route. There's a lot of pressure on Ward here to be better, to make plays, to protect for the quarterback. USC has a way of kind of figuring these things out. It might be in trouble at times in this game. It's a dangerous Washington State team. I think there's enough here to give USC a match. But USC, I think Washington State's got to play cleaner, not turn it over. And if they do, I think they've got a great chance to win on the road. But USC has a way to get a lead and enforce turnovers, and that's the real difference in the game. Got Oregon at Arizona. The Ducks are rolling. They're playing well. They had the rough start against Georgia. Passing game has been really good. and threw the football well against Stanford. The ground game is starting to pick up. Arizona hadn't been really good against the run. It's allowing over 6 yards a carry. Picked apart by Mississippi State, North Dakota State as well. Oregon should be able to win this game going away. Arizona turned the ball over 6 times in their 2 losses. Think they'll get behind. I think they'll struggle. Former Washington State quarterback Jaden Delore is playing pretty well, though, for Arizona. So maybe they can keep this around close enough for a while, but like Arizona to ultimately win this. And then finally, Oregon State at Stanford, 11 p.m. Eastern time, 10 o'clock Central time, as this game is going to be played in Stanford Stadium. 3-2 Arizona State, 1-3 Stanford. You try to play USC and Utah and come away with something positive. When you turn the football over, that's where Oregon State has been. They've played good teams, and they've turned the football over. They came close against USC. They got rocked by Utah. They were able to move the ball well in both games. And the defense wasn't bad either in both games. Turnovers. The Beavers threw 4 picks in each loss. That's not what Oregon State can overcome. I mean, nobody can really overcome that, but the key to Oregon State being good is to play good defense, is to be able to move the football with balance and protect the football. Just not really good. Stanford is dead last in turnover margin. It is yet to recover a defensive fumble and has had 2 interceptions to show for all its work. As long as Oregon State doesn't make a slew of mistakes, they get back on track here. So Stanford, USC, Washington, Oregon. They've played a tough schedule. They're 1-3. And they've yet to beat an FBS team, but they're not playing poorly. The pass defense has been shaky. Bo Nix kind of took a bit out of them. Again, people look at these games and think these teams are not all that good. There's better ball out here than people think. There's not greatness in this league, but there's competitiveness. There's good teams. There's good line of scrimmage play. It's just going to be an interesting game. Stanford has a chance here at home if Oregon State doesn't turn it over. Stanford has the better special teams. It's playing at home, and they're kind of in the desperation mode. Is that going to be enough? Or is Oregon State going to play a cleaner game and be able to move the football effectively against Stanford defense and maybe put a punch in Stanford's armor early? Got some thoughts on that over at LandryFootball.com, as well as thoughts on all the games and all the conferences. Full game breakdown, the coaching and scouting viewpoint. So check it out check out the football season sale over at LandryFootball.com. Also ask you to subscribe, like, and share the Pac-12 Football and Beyond podcast, wherever you get your podcasts, the Landry Football Podcast Network, and subscribe, like, and share the Off the Hook Sports YouTube channel, as you can get all of our college content. Our Landry Football Podcast Network can get you all of our football content, college or the NFL. So make sure that you check it out. We appreciate you joining us. Enjoy the games. As I said, 2 of the best games in the country inside the Pac-12 this week. So make sure you check it out. Hey, appreciate you joining us. See you over on the network, as well as LandryFootball.com. So long, everybody. Enjoy the games.